Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hardwood Nation podcast with your boy CL Anthony and my main man, Bryce Ward. What's going on, Bryce?
Not much. How are you doing, man?
I mean, the internet is still blowing up. Well, Twitter, is still blowing up
Oh,
over the news we got earlier this week, but I guess I'm doing okay. But I was extremely exhausted. I forget what day it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, one of them. I was extremely exhausted with Twitter just going nuclear over our first topic. I don't know how deep we're going to go, but we're going to go pretty deep into your favorite NBA player. What was your first reaction to me texting you and letting you know that Kevin Durant has asked for a trade out of Brooklyn? First reaction.
um, slight surprise. Nothing those guys do surprises me. Like where I'm like blown away. Like I was years ago when he left OKC to begin with. Now none of this stuff surprises me with these guys. I always just think it's a little earlier than we thought, but that started happening drastically with AD a couple years ago. You're like, there's no way he does this with this many
Yeah.
years left on this contract, and I was like, okay, I didn't really understand it as much then, but usually that didn't happen,
Right, right.
and so now you have that, but like on 11 with because it's KD, and he just signed last year. It's clear that they didn't like, I think, Brooklyn management and ownership kind of changing and being like, well, you guys, this little experiment didn't work, so we're not just going to cater all the time to every whim. And he's like, okay, well, I'm out, I guess.
Bryce, do you really think it was the ownership trying to come down with a heavy hand after being so lax in the beginning of this experiment with the Nets?
I think that's for sure part of it because they've tried it this way for a few years now, and a lot of it has to do with injury and availability. And I'm not just going to necessarily get into that because a lot of that's uh, based on Kyrie's personal choice. And so I'm not going to, knock him in that sense right now. Like, that's not what we're talking about. But I'm just saying the experiment didn't work for one reason or another. And I think a lot of the appeal for Durant and Kyrie was specifically the kind of control and influence they would have there. And now that they see that's gone, Durant really has no reason to be there. They know there's going to have issues with Kyrie, and Kyrie was the reason they decided on Brooklyn. So Durant has no loyalty to anything there. So it's surprising like how early, but then again, what we're seeing now is especially top talent players. They just whenever they decide, and the team usually caters to at least some or if all the requests. So we'll see where he lands, but I'm not necessarily surprised that he's already decided to dip because we know these guys, their stars specifically were not like high character guys. So this is not surprising at all.
It's been said Joe Tsai, which is the Nets owner, wanted players who wanted to be with the team night in and night out, who wanted to give a shit on the court night in and night out. And he felt like he wasn't getting that with Kyrie Irving. Now, we're not saying that about Kevin Durant, but he felt like he wasn't getting that with Kyrie Irving. So he was ready to move on from Kyrie Irving, not give him a big extension, which in turn pissed Kevin Durant off, forgive me. And then he was like, pretty much, fuck this shit. So Durant in this instant is showing loyalty to Kyrie Irving. So now the question is, okay, Durant wants out. Do they blow it up as you suggested earlier in the week and then move Kyrie as well? Like, what are the odds that they're both moved now? Because they both have to be trades. They can't walk. So what are the odds that they're both moved?
Definitely think pretty high.
Mm.
Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. And since before the Kevin Durant talk, Kyrie's been tied to the Lakers. Um, I know it doesn't seem to be going too smooth, or they might have already had that done. But now that Kevin Durant's out there, they're probably trying to. change things in some way. I'm sure all the teams changed up the idea of what they thought they could do now that Kevin Durant became available. So, to be honest, I'm not really sure where Kyrie lands. I'm not sure if the Lakers can pull it off. I definitely do think both those guys are gone, and Brooklyn's going to be in that middle spot like they were in a few years ago with like hodgepodge players, which really weren't the worst team to be on the court. It's just
Right.
they weren't great
They had
before
a
all this
playoff team.
happened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They
so
they had
they
a
could get a lot back. You know, a lot back for those two guys, and they could be right back in the playoffs. Who knows? Who knows? But I definitely think they move on from those two guys. And if I was them, I'd try to package Ben Simmons in with any of that. Get him out of there too, because I just don't trust anything with that kid right now.
well, next we're going to talk about Kevin Durant's preferred destinations. Then we're going to go into the Lakers rumors with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Um, so Kevin Durant, a lot of people were joking about this. Say he just looked at the standings and picked the first top two teams in the East and the West to want to play for. So I had been hearing rumors for almost a month that this Phoenix thing with Kevin Durant. I didn't think it was possible because I'm like, Kevin Durant's not going to leave Brooklyn right now. So now I feel like
Mhm.
an idiot for not even I didn't even bring it up to you, but I had been seeing rumblings out there about this. So are you surprised that Kevin Durant listed the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat as his top two preferred destinations? I mean, there's others out there, but those are the top two that he would like to play for.
Not surprised at all.
Mhm.
The only other team I would have thought would have been on his list would have been Boston for because we know how he likes to lose and then immediately go to a team that you know beat them or is really good. Boston matches both those things, but I don't think he wants to deal with that fan base at all.
This is
Um,
what. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, so I'm not surprised at all. We know he likes to just go to easy, already ready to win teams and try to be the guy and say he's the greatest of all time there by piggybacking off of those teams. So, like I said, with the initial decision to leave, I'm not surprised by Kevin Durant's actions at all.
Boston is one of the teams that Brooklyn's talking to right now.
I hope they
I'm,
send him there
I'm
just
just
for the
throwing that.
sake of getting crazy. Let's get nuts.
I'm just throwing it out there. So
Send
the
him to
Nets right
Toronto.
now. Here's the latest update as of late last night. The Nets are seeking 5 draft picks, preferably 5 first round draft picks. That's a big get, and an all-star caliber superstar for Kevin Durant. I know off the top of my head, Miami can do the superstar. They can do 3 draft picks. I don't recall how many draft picks Phoenix can do. Boston is in there because they can do the superstar, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, one of those two guys, and some draft picks. So those are the 3 teams right now. The Lakers have draft picks, but years down the road, so nothing immediate. Okay, so those are the 4 teams though that are engaging Brooklyn right now. We know Phoenix just re-signed Devin Booker, so he got his max extension. Of course, the Nets called about Booker. Booker's not going to Brooklyn. It's not happening. Um, the Heat still intrigue me only because we haven't signed Tyler Hero to an extension. That's telling me that Miami's waiting to see what number they can sign Hero at for a potential sign and trade. That's what that's telling me. Now, there may have to be a third team. There may have to be a fourth team. You mentioned Ben Simmons earlier. Ben Simmons might need to be traded somewhere. Okay, we know Ben Simmons wants to go to LA, but LA would pick Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant over Ben Simmons because
Oh, there was an aspect of this trade I wasn't aware of. There's a list of players that like just straight up can't be traded for. And I
well,
wanted who was it? Was Bam on that list for the Heat?
Yes and no. It's 50-50. They can be traded for. You just can't have them and Ben Simmons on the same team. Okay? It's because of some rookie contract clause. So
Hmm.
so, so offhand, can they be traded for? No. But if you move Ben Simmons as well, then they can be traded for.
Okay. Okay.
So it's like I said, it's like a 50-50 thing. But yeah, I saw the list and I don't remember all the names on the list, but yeah, Bam was on the
Yeah.
list. Um, it's a tricky trade for Brooklyn to facilitate because who do you get back for Kevin Durant? Like, is you never get the same value. You just don't. You really don't.
Do you think the
Um,
Lakers are trying to offer up AD and Westbrook?
they should. They should. And I don't think that's a bad get for Brooklyn. I don't. Um,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's one of the best things you could hope to get back, I would
yeah.
imagine.
If I'm the Lakers, I make that trade. But outside of those two assets, the Lakers can't do anything else. They can't supply the amount of
Hmm.
draft picks that Brooklyn wants. So the options are from a player standpoint, the Lakers can give you an immediate impact with Westbrook and AD. Then Miami and Phoenix, I'm still going back and forth on who can offer the best deal with Miami and Phoenix. Um, and then Boston. So it's like the Lakers, player for player, the Lakers are number one. Then the other three teams are kind of even with what they can throw in there. Um, I I don't blame the Nets for wanting everything that they want, but I don't think they're going to get everything that they want. I can't see a team giving up 5 first round picks. I cannot see
If
that.
you have a
Now,
high asking price, you have that room to negotiate for
yeah,
actual realistic expectations, though. So
right.
I would have done what they did. You ask for, your dream scenario because you hope the in between is still really good. I mean, that makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
They could possibly do it with a 3 or 4 team trade, which I believe is going to be. I believe it's going to be one of the biggest trades in the history of the NBA. And I believe it's going to be spearheaded by Miami, who's completed like a 5 team trade with like 13 or 14 players before. Like the Heat have done that, um, and I think that's why it's taken so long. I'll just put it like
Hmm.
that because if they just wanted the talent, KD and Kyrie would be in Los Angeles right now. Um, I think Boston wants KD, but I don't think Boston is going to give up what they have right now. They're an NBA Finals team, right? Phoenix would have to gut their entire young core to get KD there, and then you
The
have
Clippers could
Miami.
trade Paul George and John Wall.
There you go,
I
right?
mean,
The
it's hard
Clippers
to
could
think about
easily,
trading some people, but when you can get Kevin Durant back, everything
right,
has to be on the table, I guess.
right. You have to consider it. You do. You have to
Yeah.
consider it. So there's some rumblings out there. There's some rumblings, but I think it's going to be a huge trade because I do think Ben Simmons is going to be moved. Um, and that's what this stalemate, this hold up is. So we're gonna
Of
move
course,
to our
it
next.
takes a while to fix the biggest disaster in like NBA.
I almost forgot. We have to gloat for a couple of minutes because we were right, and this was the final nail in the coffin. So fuck
Hmm.
Brooklyn, fuck your fake fans, fuck Kyrie Irving for ruining the team. Kudos to James Harden for being the first one to say fuck this shit, and fuck Kevin Durant for trying to run away at the first sign of trouble. There we
Nicely
go.
said.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be done with Brooklyn soon. God damn it. Uh,
Mhm.
now, how shocked were you with the Rudy Gobert trade to Minnesota?
I was surprised he's going to Minnesota. Like that, without Minnesota coming off one of their like big three guys.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I think they can,
They
if
came off some draft
done
picks though.
right, that's fine. They have enough young. Like, move on from the draft picks thing. Like after this year, I feel the same way about the Magic. Let's move on from that shit.
Yeah,
So, but Gobert with Edwards and Towns offers. I believe if like used correctly, some unique matchup problems. And so we'll just see. But I was just surprised that he landed in Minnesota, and now it just makes me wonder: is Utah gonna go like full blown rebuild and get rid of Mitchell, or are they just gonna build around Mitchell, like use those draft picks they got, things like that, to to bring in another guy?
Just to piggyback on Brooklyn for a second, I'm hearing Mitchell might be involved in that huge team deal. I'm hearing Utah. Mitchell might be on the go to. I don't know where. He
I
might end
got
up in
you.
Brooklyn. I don't know where, but I'm hearing Mitchell may be involved in that.
It just
Um,
it felt like when I saw all like the picks and everything they were getting
yeah,
set players, I was like, it seems like they're in full rebuild, and I don't know if Mitchell is going to be about that.
yeah. I think that it's a great move for Minnesota. It's a great move for Cat because it takes defensive pressure off of him and it frees him up. I must say that the small petty part in me did find it hilarious that Patrick Beverly is on the move, when he was their big cheerleader and rock star with this playoff run. So, and all the tears and stuff. It's just like,
He's a guy that could end up in Miami or Milwaukee, though. He's like
uh,
replacing PJ Tucker.
so here's something that people who know basketball know, and I'm not saying you don't know basketball, but actually Patrick Beverly's first NBA shot was in Miami, and we really liked him a lot. At that time, he had absolutely no offensive game, and we cut him. Um, and when he was on First Take a month ago, somebody asked him would he return to the Heat, and he said, "You never know." But we actually had him and cut him
I
right
got you.
before training camp one year. But he was a dog on defense even back then.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know if he'll end up in Miami, but I just thought that it was ironic because he was more so than Cat even in that brief playoff run. He was like the face of the franchise,
Mhm.
the glue guy, the spark plug, the crier after wins, and then they just shipped him
Mhm.
off. It's just like, God damn it, why you do my boy like that?
Cold blooded.
Cold blooded, man. Dejounte Murray, a hot young guy from San Antonio, almost averaged a triple double last season. I think he ended up with like 15 triple doubles or some shit like that. Like he's great. I was floored when he got traded to San Antonio. I'm sorry, to Atlanta. I was absolutely floored. Um, I have since learned that he had a conversation with the Spurs, and they said it's not fair to him for them to have him there while they go through their rebuild. If I'm the Spurs, I rebuild around that kid, but whatever. How do you feel about Murray being in Atlanta now?
Um, I'll be interested to see like how the Hawks offense works next year,
Mm,
because it seemed like what the Hawks could do as they were built this last year, like just they saw it wasn't enough. It was like the second year of that, and it just wasn't enough of the Trey Young show. Like he's not enough on his own. So I think what they're trying to do is follow like more of a Golden State playbook and have Trey be the Steph Curry and be able to run and play off the ball more and have a guard you can trust with the ball in his hands, who can do his own thing regardless, but is also the type of point guard who's looking for the guy to pass to. Like he does everything kind of right. So
mm.
it could be interesting to see how different their offense is next year and see if they have Trey continue to either be ball dominant and have these guys take turns, which I don't think is a good thing, or to see Trey running around like Steph and like getting an offense like that going, and just seeing the transition from like main ball handler to off ball and seeing how that progresses his game and their offense. That would be interesting to me.
Got it. Atlanta's not done making moves because th- let me just break it down to you because everything we've said so far is connected with all these teams: Miami, Brooklyn, Utah, Atlanta. Those are the four teams that I'm hearing. So John Collins would be on the move. Tyler Hero would be on the move. Donovan Mitchell would be on the move. Ben Simmons would be. That's the framework of this deal. If Miami was to get Kevin Durant, um, I'm hearing Miami is going after Kevin Durant and John Collins from Atlanta. Atlanta's still, moving stuff around because they made some other trades as well. Um, so those are the four teams that I'm hearing are working on this deal. I don't know the specifics of the draft picks, the years, any of that, but Miami, Brooklyn, Atlanta, Utah are definitely talking. Um, I we've talked for 2 years about the Hawks and talked about Collins and Trey Young and do they
Mm-hmm.
like each other? Do they not like each other? I think the franchise is done with it, so I fully expect Collins to be on the move as well. Um, Trey Young can play off the ball. His assists will suffer a little bit. Assists will suffer because I think Murray, as good as Murray is, Trey Young is just such an unbelievable shooter. You don't want to have him tied up running both guard positions. So have Murray running the point, have Trey running the two, and just jacking up those shots, man. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Um, I don't know what big they end up with. I mean, they got Capella, but they still need another four if they get rid of Collins. So I don't know who they end up with, and that once the dust settles. But I actually like the pairing. I just think they're going to be a little too small right now. Because Murray, man, he's light. That kid is thin. Um, they're going to be a little too small right now, and they got rid of Gallinari, who gave them size and shooting in the Murray trade. Um, so they're going to be a little small, but they're going to be an exciting. I think they're going to be an exciting team, though. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
And those two, Murray and Trey Young, are both represented by Clutch Sports Agency, and they've talked about playing together apparently. So this is something that they wanted to do. So hopefully it works out
Mm-hmm.
for them. So your Orlando Magic brought back some pieces. How you feel about the Magic's move so far in free agency?
I'm fine with it. I didn't have any expectations of any like star caliber player getting signed or anything like that. I'm still interested to see, besides Terrence Ross, depending on what we do there, if we trade him or not. I'm interested to see what kind of vet they bring back because I did see what Robin Lopez signed with another team. I think that was like one of the only ones they really didn't bring back. So I'm interested to see the vet they bring in if they're able to get one, which I do think we do need one. But besides that, I'm fine. I want to run it back with the healthy guys, anyways,
Yeah,
to an
I
extent.
think
You definitely want to be better, but I think there's something to be said for the talent we have and the fact that we haven't been able to be healthy all together at the same time. So.
yeah. Um, I know you said the expectation is to battle for a play-in this year for the Orlando Magic, and we both raved about the first round draft pick Apollo and Magic Nation. I'm sorry, but me and Bryce are both Cole Anthony fans, and we're both huge Cole Anthony fans because we talked about how the fan base is split on him. I believe, and I said this number last year. I'm going to say it again this year. I believe the number is 32 wins. You had 22 wins last year. I think you get a 10-win improvement this year. You might not make the play in, but you'll be knocking on the door. So
Mhm.
that's where I see the Magic being at. I do believe they need to open up the offense a little more because you have weapons on that team. So I think those weapons need to be utilized properly. So last year was a defensive year, the developmental year. This year, you have to open up the offense a little bit. Um, great signing bringing Mobamba back. Absolutely great signing because he had a good season, and you like to see players rewarded for having good seasons.
Mhm.
I know we spoke offline. Do you think the Jonathan Isaac experiment is over?
Not yet. I just don't. I'm not trying to lie to myself or get high expectations. That's what I'll say because potentially, if he gets on the floor and plays basketball, there's talent there. Um, I'm just not getting high on the idea of it because I don't want to get let down. If that makes sense. I could give two shits about his off court politics. I don't care about that. Are you healthy and are you going to play? That's all I care about. He hasn't played for 2 years. So let's see what we get out of him. We invested in him with a draft pick. So let's see. I mean, if you're just gonna, I mean, it's not really going against the books too much. I think because they have like an insurance type thing where if he doesn't play a certain amount of games or something like that, they don't have to pay him or it's not guaranteed. I'm not sure. I just know they're not really worried about it financially. So if they're just gonna keep him and not, you know, not do anything else, you might as well see what he can do. That's all I'll say. Like whatever he gets is a bonus at this point. It's like what I was saying about Oladipo last year. Like he wasn't playing, so whatever you got from him later on is just a plus for you guys. So we'll see. I'm not like writing him off as like a player or anything. I'm just I'm not counting on him right now. So whatever we get is a bonus in my eyes. Mo Bamba, I don't think was a question of want. It was a question of how much. So I was really glad to see them be able to reach a fair deal and bring him back. Um, I know fighting for a play-in spot might be a lot to ask, but at this point I'm ready to have more expectations. Like I'm at that point now. I'm like I'd rather shoot for the moon and land somewhere in between than to just not have the expectations and not be excited to see what the team can do. Because then it's like why do I even care at that point?
Mm-hmm.
So no, I have higher expectations for them this year. I want them to fight for that play-in spot. I want to see what they can do healthy, and I believe in a lot of these players, even though they're young. Um, people can be down on Cole Anthony, or I just don't. I get like some of the suggested lineups. I see them, and with the I'm not writing off Jalen Suggs, but with the year he had, why he would be in the starting lineup with Fultz over Cole Anthony just doesn't make sense to me. Like maybe there's a chunk of NBA knowledge that I'm just missing, but in my eyes, Suggs and Fultz at this current build isn't. You can't have two guards who can't shoot. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to have Oladipo, Elfrid Payton again, where you have no threat from deep. I don't care if our bigs can shoot. Which they can,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want two guards who can't shoot. Jalen Suggs showed to be extremely inefficient last year, which is expected from a rookie guard.
Right.
I'm not knocking him, but the same things that I would knock him for, people were knocking Cole Anthony for. But he's going into his third season. He's shown he's been the spark on the offense, the only guy who could score when Fultz was out, when other guys were out for a long time. That's a lot to ask from a 1 and 2 year guard. He's shown the confidence to take on the challenge. I like his attitude on and off the court. I just don't understand the jump, like the wanting to throw Suggs out there more so than Cole Anthony when the problems seem more glaring to me in Suggs right now. He's a year behind Cole Anthony in terms of coming into the league. He's coming off an injury. I don't get it. I'm not down on Suggs, but I don't understand how people can be so down on Cole Anthony when he's shown that he's ready for the challenge and he's shown he's ready to work hard. Like I just don't get it when they're so similar, but Cole is clearly the better scorer right now.
Mm-hmm.
So but I'm excited for the whole team. And like I said, Isaac's all bonus, and we're just gonna have to see. But I'm setting expectations because I want to care about this team, and I think they have a high ceiling once they start figuring everything out.
Yeah, the Magic did have protections in his contract for games missed, where he wouldn't get the full extent of his contract. So that is team friendly. It is team friendly. As far as Cole and Fultz and Suggs, you do need shooting in your backcourt as well. Could Suggs get that down the road? Yes. Right now, Cole Anthony's the better shooter of the three. He's the best shooter. Um, Suggs and Fultz can create off the dribble, but sometimes you need someone just to make a goddamn shot, right? And someone who has the balls to make the shot. which we know Cole Anthony has. Right, he's done it. Um, so yeah, I can't wait to watch you guys play this year and to see that offense open up a little bit, to see how much how much leeway they give Paolo to grow his offensive game. You know, but Mobamba's continuing to shoot well from the perimeter. So the Magic are going to have a very good season, and I hope I get to watch a lot of the Magic games this year. I want to end by saying in this episode by saying, and this is a personal thing. Sorry, you didn't know I was doing this. Thank you to PJ Wash. Oh my goodness, PJ Tucker. Lord Jesus, Lord, for giving us the 1 year that he gave us in Miami because he is the type of player that we love, that we try to grow, that never complained, that gave his all. In his old 37-year-old body that's breaking down, he gave us everything that we could. And I wish we could find a younger version of PJ Tucker and have him for like 20 years, kind of like how we have Udonis Haslam, because he's the type of guy that can contribute to any team. And like the box score just doesn't say, it just doesn't tell the whole story of what PJ Tucker does on the court. So just it, he he was always one of the players I like to watch from afar. And then watching him night in and night out on the Heat was like, oh my God, we should have had this 10 years ago. Um, so when Joel Embiid said in the playoffs after we eliminated Philly, he was like, man, we need a player like PJ Tucker on our team. I'm like, fuck, we're in trouble. It's like, God damn it, we're in trouble. And then I forgot Houston's GM, former GM, is in Philly. He was the one that gave PJ Tucker his biggest chance to play basketball. So it made sense for PJ to be like, yeah, I'm going to go back up there with him, get back with James Harden. You know, we had success in Houston. So I was like, okay, it just made sense for him to go back up to Philly. So absolutely no anger towards him. I enjoyed the 1 year he gave us. Damn it, I wish we could have had more. I wish he was younger. But man, that dude knows basketball, man. That dude knows basketball. Anything else, Bryce?
No, that's it for me today, man.
And Victor Oladipo, welcome back home. Um, because people thought he was going too. Like he thought he was going too.
Mm.
Um,
He might still be gone. You gotta wait to see how these trades work out.
no, I think we keep him. I think see, we we re-sign Oladipo because we know who else we're gonna move. So I watch to see. But
Moving the
that's
white
gonna
boys.
say what?
Moving the white boys.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you can say it. I can't say it.
Okay.
That's going to be it for this week's episode of the Hardwood Nature Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share our content on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Hey, if you comment on our videos, we'll reply always, good or bad. Tell us we're great. Tell us we're shit. We don't care. We're going to say thank you. All right, guys.